Good morning, Patrick. How are you doing today?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Absolutely fantastic. I got to tell you, I've experienced this movie. Oh my God. I love the way that you allow the viewer and those that will experience it the opportunity to have sides and to have different points of view and still get along in a way.
Oh, thank you so much. I know I'll thank you for Ian Ebright, the writer-director as well. It's exactly what he was hoping to get when we made this.
Well, it opened up my heart because, I mean, there were so many times I would sit there, I would agree, I would disagree, I would sit there, and I got so much into the debating, it just blew me away.
Yeah, well, he wrote these long debates, and as an actor, you look at that and you go, oh, this is a trap. The audience is going to stick with you. But between working with Kaylee Rhodes as the counter debater and also with the editor who edited it so well, it really does keep you engaged because the things that he's talking about, as you say, touch your heart and touch your brain and make you go like, well, now, wait a second. Well, that's interesting. And that's why it was really fun to play.
Well, and because of the different views as well. I mean, either you believed in God or you didn't believe in God. It didn't matter. You got 2 points of views there.
Yeah. And what was great about Kaylee is, she's on the side of enumerating God. Mm-hmm. It's not heavy-handed, which is great. It's not this heavy-handed evangelical Christian sort of thing that you sort of see as a trope in a lot of films. Instead, it's very nuanced and it's very powerful. And what I find interesting is that Simon really doesn't allow his heart to be open to her debate because he's just interested in the actual mechanics of destroying her as a debate opponent. It doesn't matter that they're talking to God, I think, to him. Whatever they're talking about, he's the opposition, and he's going to intellectually try to dismantle her argument.
Oh, see, there were many times I was so on Simon's side in the way that I just loved his strength and what you brought into that character for that strength. I mean, the body language itself really allows the viewer to see, hey, when you speak words, get the body involved in your conversation.
Oh, absolutely. Well, as an actor, I know that, and coming from the stage, I also know that. It's how you move and how you present yourself matters so much. And Simon is nothing if not arrogant and self-entitled. He definitely thinks he's the smartest guy in the room, no matter where he walks. So, I'm sorry that I'm so easily, I can play that so easily.
You talk about coming from the stage. Last night when my wife and I were experiencing the movie, I looked at her and I said, I want to see this on a live stage somewhere because I really think this would go great in a theater.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. What was fun about doing the debates is that, it was filmed in a theater. The only difference is there was cameras sitting out in the audience, and that really lent itself a freshness to it, being there, having the space between me and Kaylee, and also having the back of the house to project to. It allows you to be more performative.
Mm-hmm. And the lighting. Oh, my God. You guys, the lighting on that, because it really drew you, the people on the camera knew that we needed to be focused in on what you were doing.
AJ Marston was our DP, and he was so good in making it a delicious drawing in factor. When I saw it on the big screen, I really was, like anything, to be honest, to be anything as a narcissistic actor, you go to see something you've done, you're like, why are they showing my shoulder? Why is it not all about me? That's just, I'll call myself out on that. But what was great about this was what a palette they had colored the film with.
Yeah.
Like it was just rich. And to your point, draws you into the speakers and whatnot. And I know that they consciously made different camera choices for each of the debates. As we move into the third debate, we're now right up in each other's grills with the camera, as opposed to the first one when we're back as an audience member, which I think really helps lends itself to it.
See, I call that texture. Movie making has texture in it. And otherwise you're right. We might have tuned out by the third time that there was a debate. It was all different every single time.
Yeah, well, Ian talked about that, and production design talked about that. And, as an actor, I've learned to stay in my lane in terms of, like, unless they're asking my opinion, which rarely they're not, I'm not here for the overall. I'm not the director. I'm not the producer. My job is to do Simon and bounce off the other characters in that world. And I try and stick to that, which is why it's always a great surprise and reward to see the finished product, to go like, oh, right, I'm just a piece of this. And it's great to collaborate on something. You know what I mean? I say that because it is true. You're like, oh, oh, I didn't realize that, and it's good. It's good that way.
One of the things that my wife and I talked about in watching the movie, The Way We Speak, is the fact that it reminds me, it was almost like I was screaming for, I want this to be a binge watching series. I want 9 parts to this because I don't want Simon to go away. I want his character to take on other people in other debates. I want to know more about him.
Oh, I love that. I will pass that on to Ian without a doubt, because I'm sure he's percolated some ideas about that. I think the way the film sort of resolves itself at the moment, it's still a launching pad for other things to come, without a doubt. And I think it doesn't tell the audience what to feel. It allows them to make a choice of what they're going to take away from it. And that's one of the best things about it, I think.
That is so true. It's very interactive. You're absolutely right about that, because you sit there and you go from side to side to side, and it gets you involved emotionally.
Yeah. And that's the best kind of engagement that you can have with art. And especially, spoiler alert, there's no guns and nobody's, superheroes in this, which is what is great about it. It's a noisy, corrosive world that's 24/7 on our space communicators. And it's nice to go see a film, whether it's at your couch or in the theater, of The Way We Speak, because it allows you a respite from that velocity of information, and instead allows you to go inward to make some choices intellectually and with your heart about what you think and feel.
When a script like this arrives, because it is so in-depth, how do you get the interpretation? I would be on the phone with them saying, please explain to me what's going on here, because my mind is seeing this.
Oh, that's exactly what I read the script, and I was like, oh, Ian's written the script about something. He's trying to say something. So I called him up and I said, I see you're trying to say something. I don't know what it is. But I'm on board for trying to discover and illuminate it. And he's like, great. Because he goes, frankly, I'm not sure either. So that's what you do. You all get together on day one. You say, I think we're going to tell this tale. And you don't really know until you finally show it to an audience. And I think he was very successful. And I think we're really pleased with what we ended up coming up with.
Would you say that one of the invisible stars of the movie, The Way We Speak, is the fact that you are speaking and you're not using your thumbs to get a communication gap going on there?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I love the fact that technology plays a very, very small part in it. It only delivers a piece of information here or there. What we really get instead is heartfelt communication. I love the moderator, played by Lowell, because, he sort of sits there as an arbiter for all of us, saying, behave, here's the rules, and then behave if you're not behaving, and speaks for I like the fact that it takes place in a theater with lecterns in a sort of quote unquote old fashioned way.
And plus, on top of that, the influencers will see this movie, and I think what they're going to do is it's going to put them face to face instead of just doing something on social media. They're going to want to go out there and get physically involved with their debates, rather than just I'm just going to post them.
Oh, I think so. Look, the scourge of the internet is the fact that everybody has an opinion anonymously, sitting in their pajamas at 11 o'clock at night, and there's no pushback. So you can throw out something, and there's nobody there to push back immediately on what you posit as a fact, or posit as a informed opinion. And that's what's exciting about watching the real-time pushback in The Way We Speak.
Can you imagine if you, Patrick, was the one that was on that stage and you were doing the debating and it came from your moments?
Oh, wow. Well, that's interesting because, unfortunately, there's probably more of me and Simon than I'm wishing to admit, a white guy of a certain age. And I will say this, it became apparent because when we were up on stage and I'm wearing my turtleneck and my suit and preening like a peacock and looking at my gray hair and my glasses, I look over and I see Kaylee Rhodes, who's, half as young and twice as pretty. And I was like, oh, no.
First of all, they have all 3 debates. And what I loved about that, and first of all, I love the number 3. But what happens is it tells the viewer that the conversation isn't over yet. That you can walk away all you want, and which we do, but in this, you guys kept moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, it almost collapses, right? And then it doesn't. It keeps moving forward. And, Simon's avarice for at all costs. We begin the movie with, tragic news, and he's like, that sucks, but let's go anyways, and by getting to the 3rd debate, we're finally we've now invested in the characters a little bit, And I think those close-ups and those little ticks that we see between them that are nonverbal are the things that really make that sing.
Yeah. I'm not going to spoil the ending but I'll tell you what, though, viewers and listeners are going to experience this, and it's going to create conversation because you either took a side, and I would love to sit down with a group of people and say, all right, let's talk about this movie, but we can't go that deep yet because I don't want to spoil it.
No, I understand, which is why I encourage you on July 23rd to get on Apple or any of your streaming on-demand platforms and take a look at it, because the movie ends up in a spot where you can go ahead. It doesn't tell you what to feel. It allows you to make your own decisions about that. And I think that'll be a great takeaway.
I'm glad you said Apple, because I wrote in my notes, I said, this has got that feeling of Apple. This is something that I would watch on my Apple app. And so I'm so glad that you reminded listeners that's where it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's my dad's birthday on July 23rd.
Aww.
So, do my dad a solid and rent his son's film. How about that?
Wouldn't you say that in writing this motion picture, The Way We Speak, is that you introduce a lot of people to the many different ways that you can speak the word? They always tell us in radio, there are 7 different ways to say the same sentence.
Oh, that's interesting. I've heard something similar to that in acting class, where we've done exercises where you say the same line in repetitive fashion, trying to milk out different meanings and whatnot. Yeah, there are different ways to speak, without a doubt, and different tactics you can use. Weapons, your words can be used as weapons. They can use as encouragement, but you also, in the midst of speaking, have to remember the other component of speaking, which is listening.
Yeah. Oh man, dude, I've been in more HR meetings because I was the written word that was being shared, and people would say, "Get in here, we got to talk. What are you trying to say here?" I swear to God, it's positive, and they're going, "No, that's not the way I'm reading it." Maybe that's the reason why I love this movie, is because you're physically using your words.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see them affect us as they happen. You can see them like arrows being shot at one another. Mm-hmm. And it's all depending, you take a direct hit, and then you figure out how you're going to counter. And how you counter, how you take that assault and counter, says a lot about your character. It says a lot about Simon's character, for sure. Well,
personally, how did you deal with the moments when the cameras were off and you filmed the debate? I mean, you get yourself so emotionally involved. That little moment when the lights go off, I just don't know what actors go through.
Oh, that's part of the fun. It's part of the magic and the mystery and the pixie dust, right?
Yeah.
The good news is that you come in as strangers. I didn't know Kaylee. I didn't know Deanna. And all of a sudden, we're on stage doing this vulnerable stuff and doing all that, and then you find that magic. You find that personal thing. Part of being an actor is the ability to shut out everything and focus on your scene partner. And when you have a good scene partner, you get lost in that world, and that's that magic fun space. And hopefully, the camera can capture that. That's what, if you're lucky.
Being a radio jock who's had team partners and things like that, eye contact is so important. So that's one of the things that I really paid attention to when you guys were debating during these 3 debates. I wanted to make sure that you were looking at each other in the eyes, and oh my God, you guys nailed that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We relied on one another for that, without a doubt. And when, we're shooting her or shooting me, the other one was full performance out. Nobody was phoning anything in. So having your scene partner off camera for those moments was equally important. And, Kaylee and I would both, do different things. It wasn't trying to throw somebody off. It was just trying to add different color to evoke different reactions, because, in the editing bay, sometimes you take things that may seem out of context when you're shooting them, but make sense for the film in post. So we also did that, which was really fun. Kaylee came to play, and that made it all the difference in the world.
I'm a big stream thinker. That means that I usually speak and I write what's in my presence of right now. And one of the things that's displayed perfectly in this is the way that Simon would react. None of that was scripted out if this was Simon's real world. And that's what I love about people that go to debates, is the fact that you've got to act and react in the moment of what is right now.
Oh, yeah. No, debates are really exciting, actually, when they're done like that, because you see a nimbleness of thought and a nimbleness of action that counter stuff. And sometimes in a debate, you'll find that the quote unquote winner of the debate is not the side that you actually agree with. And that's when somebody's really good, right? When you end up saying well, actually, they make sense and they've turned you around.
You got to get your agent to get you to be the host of a competition, like American Idol and things like that, except it's going to be all debaters, no musicians, no actors or anything like that. It's got to be 2 people debating every week, and it's a competition.
Okay, I love that, but first you have to line up what advertisers you're going to get for me, and then we'll have a show.
Oh, that darn business side of entertainment. Come on, Patrick.
Sorry, I know. Buzzkill.
So what did you learn? Because when you go into this project, you're still a student.
Oh, absolutely. Everything is a brand new learning experience. It's first day of school. We sat down for that table read, and, I had read the script and I talked to Ian, but I hadn't met the other actors, and you still don't know, and you're nervous and scared, and your ego's in the way and all of that stuff. And then you sit down, and then we all start reading the words. And as we read it, we were like, oh, things are crackling. Things are making sense. It's coming to life, which makes everybody at the table go like, oh, I'm glad I signed on for this, because there is something here. And basically it becomes this river that starts flowing. And then your job is to build a boat for the audience to sail on that river. And so you get excited about that. And, I still get nervous. I get nervous before my auditions. I get nervous before work. And that's 30 years down the line and actually having a modicum of success. I don't think that'll ever leave me. I think that's just baked into the job description for me.
Speaking of leaving you, how much of Simon is still in you?
Well, unfortunately, I'm still a white guy over 50. And so therefore I'm, and I run into that, I don't know when the last time you made a Huey Lewis in the News joke and had nobody respond to it, but that's,
I mean, do you sport the same glasses? Because to me, that was a fashion statement with those glasses.
With those glasses actually were my glasses.
Really?
Because dude, it's an independent film. I brought my own wardrobe and wore my own glasses. And glasses are tricky with film because for the DP to shoot, you get light reflection and all that stuff. But Ian decided when he saw me reading with them, he goes, oh, we need to work that in. And the DP was like, those are prescription glasses. How are we gonna? And so that became an added element where they had to shoot around, figure it out, and light the angle. There were some takes we would do, and all of a sudden we'd be halfway through, and they're like, cut. You can't have your head at that precise spot because the light's bouncing. But yeah, no, that was how much is Simon? Well, it was all my own wardrobe, so everything.
That's so
more
cool.
than I care to admit.
July 23rd is when it begins to happen on your father's birthday. So congratulations on this movie and happy birthday to your dad.
Hey, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you taking time talking to me.
Well, please come back to this show anytime in the future, man. I love breaking down movies so I can get a better understanding as a viewer.
Yeah, no, I can tell. I appreciate it. We need more of you in the world.
Well, you be brilliant today, okay?
Thanks, man. Will do.